Let's talk a little bit about fade to black. When it comes to working with camera video, there are two guys that I have basically always relied on, Joey and my dear departed friend Andy Jenkins, the video boss. So Joey's come out with a new course, and it's basically how he does what he does. How he's created all of these different kinds of videos. A good example, if you go look at this page, I'll put a link to this in the chat box for you. A lot of the videos you'll see today, of course, are people just holding a smartphone and yakking and not making a lot of sense. And then there are the kinds of videos that are really just levels above. So that's what Joey does, and that's what this course is about. I'm not going to get too much into all the details other than to say that, again, Joey is the master of the camera. Now, most of us, of course, use Camtasia, screen capture, screencast videos, PowerPoint content, and things like that. So my basic take on this and recommendation is that if you want to use camera video, this is awesome because it goes through all of the confusing stuff that is related to camera, the depth of field, the setting up the shots, and Joey also goes into a great deal of what it takes to make essentially a cinematic type of video, scripting, the art of it, how to set up the shots, how, to do all of the creative things that it took him years to figure out. My basic take on the course, other than that, is, again, as Camtasia users, Joey doesn't use Camtasia in this training course. In fact, he uses Adobe Premiere Pro. Now, most of the content is related to camera kinds of work and things like that. In a case like this, I don't want to get too hung up in what is the software that's used and what is the exact camera that is used. It's about concepts, and it's about a professional workflow and how to craft the message, establish the shots, and things like that. Certainly a training course can't cover every software and every camera. So it's kind of important to note that in going through this content here, I found that even though Joey demonstrates things in Adobe Premiere Pro, it's really not that different. If you have a decent or even little better than basic understanding of Camtasia, it's about trimming, it's about putting content on the timeline, doing a couple of effects and things that are for the most part available in Camtasia as well. So I didn't really have too much of a problem making that leap and that transfer from the content because the concepts and things like that are just so good that it's what makes the difference, not necessarily what software you wield. Okay, I've been going through it. I like it. Joey is a great teacher, and I'm highly recommending it if you want in any way, shape, or form to take your camera work to the next level. He actually also talks about doing screen capture stuff. He actually uses Google Slides. So he does talk about screen capture and screencasting, but the main focus is the camera stuff. I think that is the biggest value. The thing is, this program is only going to be around for the week. And right now, for the launch, it's $47. And there's just a ton of great content, tips. A lot of the sections have downloadable PDF worksheets, full transcripts of everything. So it's very easy to consume, and I've actually picked up a bunch of tips and tactics. I'm really eager to start whipping out some better camera video stuff, even if you just have like your phone, right? All the same stuff applies, right? So that's all well and good. I like it. The things about Adobe Premiere that make it so good, again, is the complexity. So some of the color correction things, You can get a lot of add-ons and presets and effects and things like that. But for the most part, you don't necessarily need that to create a good video if your concepts and your structure and your camera shots are well thought out and well executed. Again, there's all kinds of great tips and tricks in there to use whatever kind of footage you might have. Only till Friday. It is $47 and you can't beat it with a stick. The additional upsell offer is something called Lightspeed. And Lightspeed, basically what it is Joey going through 4 projects from start to finish from scratch. And I tell you, there's a lot to be learned from watching somebody create a really engaging and awesome video and seeing how they do it. Again, he uses Adobe Premiere Pro, but one thing I wanted to do was I took this first challenge called the Stock Challenge, which is basically using just stock footage and a little bit of a background track and narration track to create this really awesome video. I went through it and I did this first challenge, and let me put a link to my final result here. And what I thought I'd do is for us to spend a little bit of time here, let's go through it, shall we? And see how I did it. There are some tips and tricks that I saw Joey do, and what I did was basically recreate it in Camtasia, again using his stuff. Okay, so here's kind of the finished project, and let me give you just a couple of the tips and tricks that Joey did. Again, you can go watch the video and kind of see what my final result was. I used not only stock footage that I found on Pexels. If you go to pexels.com and search for videos, for example, in one of the scenes, Steve talks about waking up every morning for the rest of his life or something like that. So I did a search for sunrise, and you can find tons of beautiful stock footage. In fact, for sunrise, you can even drill down into different kinds of sunrises, but there's 246 videos for content, right? And these are all royalty free. You can do your stuff with them. So that's kind of the scoop. First of all, my process and the process that I got from Joey was put the audio track, the music bed on the timeline. And then I went through and I listened to the music. And one of the things that Joey talks about is, you notice I got a bunch of scenes here, right? Things move and change, and I'll pick this content later, but one of the pro touches is I'm looking at my music wave. Let's zoom in a little bit. And what you'll notice is down here on the music track, on certain beats, the waves here you can tell are the beats to the music. So I drop markers on those beats, and then that kind of designates when I want a scene change to happen, because it makes it, you can kind of feel it more, right? You feel the change of the scene by something as stupidly simple as changing that scene on the beat of the music. Music is emotion, right, in a video. So by doing this ridiculous little technique, it really just makes the entire feel of the video much more impactful, almost on an unperceivable subconscious level. Okay, so the first thing I did, drop the music track down and drop these markers on the media itself. I kind of got a little bit of a roadmap now as to where I want scenes to change. Okay, then I went ahead and put the Steve Jobs audio file on here. Right, so at that point then, in the project, Joey actually provides all of his source files, all of his video clips that he used in his project, and I used a couple of those, but he walks through the process of and the decision making of why and how he used each particular clip that he does. One of the clips was a very dramatic opening to the thing. Here's where it talks about the sunrise and things like that. And then I went in and I just used a combination of stock footage. I used some of my own footage from my property here and basically from my life, right? So you could totally do that, and especially if you employ the camera techniques in the Fade to Black course to come up with this kind of footage on your own. So there's all these kinds of things. It literally took me longer to decide. Once I have this all sliced up or marked up, it takes you longer to decide what video clips to use than it does to drop them on the timeline. And again, in Premiere Pro, Joey goes through the Premiere Pro process, but I had no problems in translating that to, oh, okay, drop it on the timeline, decide which portion of the clip you want, and trim it up, right? Zero problems. There were a couple of things that I did. Let's zoom in here. Okay, in this particular clip, it didn't quite meet my marker. I came up just short. It just wasn't quite long enough. So I added a clip speed effect to it. Clip speed, right? Right there. And then I just adjusted the length to be, boom, to meet and touch. Okay, so all the stuff I needed to do to kind of pull this off, and it's really kind of a logical thing, I was able to do in Camtasia. I thought it was just kind of a nice little project. It was fun to do. And again, I learned a bunch of stuff just by following along with Joey. Right? So, and that is the upsell to Fade to Black. So, any questions on that? So I'll tell you what, I'm going to issue a challenge to you guys, a stock challenge. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to make a freaking video. I want to see what you guys are doing. Take this little technique here, the music track, the audio file, and make me a video. Post it in the Facebook group. Yeah, that's the first upsell, Reverend Greg. The second upsell is actually kind of nice too. If you pick up the Fade to Black course, you don't want to pay 200 bones to watch the light speed, extra sessions, and stuff like that. You can scroll to the bottom, say no thanks, and then the second upsell is 15 video clips from videos. And those are brand new clips. If you already have a videos account, just use your videos email when you purchase, and those will be added to your account. If you don't have a videos account, you get access to 15 really nice videos templates, which of course are content that we use to create things like intros, outros, other kinds of effects and things like that. So it's kind of a nice little library bundle, and I think that's $47 also. And my understanding is that once this launch is done, this product goes away. It will not be available at like any price. So there's that. All right. I think that's all I got for everybody. Any questions? All right, everybody. That's all I got for tonight. Hope that was useful. And we'll see you all next time. Thanks for coming.